speak about this weak government who gave up against anti-nationals today. We expected good reforms, etc. Protests were bound to happen, but they gave up even though the majority is on their side. They betrayed us. What is next? Article 370 CAA will also be repealed, and Mr. Modi is the weakest prime minister until date. So that's the sentiment that is being expressed here. And many people feel betrayed. Many people feel upset that these farm laws, the three farm laws, were repealed yesterday. So the question is essentially, first of all, why were the farm laws repealed? Secondly, uh, is Mr. Modi a weak prime minister? And thirdly, the question I'm getting is, has Mr. Modi failed? Right? So these are the questions I am getting. Let me position myself properly. All right. So, first of all, the question is, why were the farm laws repealed? Well, I don't have sufficient data to answer that question, but it appears that it is something to do with national security. It looks like it was a national security issue. It was going, the situation was going in a direction that would have been problematic for the country from a national security perspective, right? Uh, I mean, lots of people are speculating all kinds of things on social media, but I get the feeling that there was something related to national security, which is why this step has been taken of deciding to repeal the farm laws. So that is the feeling that I am getting. National security, of course, trumps everything else, and if there is a national security issue, then that information will not be made available to the public. National security is a sensitive issue, and if certain developments are happening, then those should not be shared with the public, even though the government may look bad. So that is point number one, that it looks like there was something to do with national security. The farm laws were enacted more than a year ago, and there were protests, engineered protests and all, and eventually now they have been repealed for certain reasons. Uh, so is are all the other laws also going to be repealed? Article 370 and CA? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. So this issue had been kind of communalized and politicized, the farm laws, and that's why it looks like it's been repealed. Now the second question is, the second point that is being made is that Mr. Modi is the weakest prime minister until date, based on what's happened yesterday. Okay, I understand why certain people feel this way, and right now lots of people are saying that on social media. If you look at social media, Twitter, etc., it's all abuzz with people taunting Mr. Modi and saying he has failed and he is the weak prime minister and all that, including certain channels that I have been on in the past. So they are all saying that, and I think if you are long time viewers of this channel, then you will be very well aware that I have in the past been extremely harshly critical of the government with respect to its policies about education, with respect to its policies about culture, about rewriting history, not doing that, and also the kind of stagnation we are seeing in the space race, and many other things. So I have been harshly critical of this government. Now, when it comes to this thing, the decision to repeal the farm laws, I am not going to be critical of the government. See, consider two scenarios. Consider two different prime ministers. Prime Minister A makes a decision, enacts some laws, and there are protests that are engineered, and they threaten the stability and security of the country. Now, this prime minister A, decides that I am a strong prime minister. No matter what happens, I will be firm and I will not take back the laws. No matter whatever happens, even if the country goes down in flames, I will not change my decision because I'm a strong prime minister. I will appear weak if I do that. So that is Prime Minister A. Prime Minister B says that, let me see how things go, and based on the developments, if the country is getting destabilized, then he says the national security and the national interest is more important than my personal image. I will apologize even though I have done nothing wrong, and I will take back the laws. This is called a strategic retreat. So which prime minister do you prefer? Somebody who is more concerned about his image and he will let the nation suffer for his image, or a prime minister who is willing to take the blame and look weak, but he will do it as long as the national security and national interest is not compromised. Which prime minister would you prefer? It's as simple as that. I would prefer I mean, it takes a great deal of courage and fortitude to apologize even though you've done nothing wrong, and take back something that you yourself enacted, and you know how people are going to react. Everybody is going to say, what happened to 56 inches? What happened to the strong prime minister? His strong man image is broken, blah 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 blah. He is willing to take that on his chest, right? He has owned this. He has owned the taking back of the laws. He see, there are certain politicians that when who are such that when things go well, when they win an election, they will take all the credit. But when they lose 10, 15, 20 elections, they will say it is the fault of the party. Do you know who those politicians are? I think you know who those politicians are. In the case of Mr. Modi, he has owned this. He has taken the blame on himself. He is not blaming his party. He is not blaming his ministers. He is saying that it is my decision to take back the farm laws. Right? So that is called leadership. You may think he is weak or whatever, but what is it's not over until it's over. So the last question is that has Mr. Modi failed? Right? Has Mr. Modi failed? So let me give us a slightly strange and different example. This year we had the Olympic Games, right? In hockey, India played Germany in the bronze medal match. And very quickly, India went 1-0 down. Then India was able to equalize. It became 1-1. And then Germany slammed in 2 goals, and India was 1-3 down with less than half the match to go. So had India failed when these big setbacks happened, 3-1 down, 3-1 is a terrible, it is a very precarious situation. It's almost as good as lost, and less than half the match was left. So should India have decided that, oh, we have lost and we should give up? No. India fought back, and even though India was 1-3 down, they eventually won 5-4. So the match has a certain duration. In between, during the course of the match, all kinds of things happen. There are ups and downs, but you keep fighting. So Mr. Modi has been elected prime minister for a 5-year term, right? That 5-year term ends in 2024. So I think the time to decide whether Mr. Modi has succeeded or failed is in 2024. Right now we are at the end of 2021. There is a long time to go. Picture abhi baki hai, friends, like they say. So I think what I would recommend is that we should not react to everything emotionally. Life is full of ups and downs. It is all part and parcel of the game. So right now, I agree there is a setback. Mr. Modi wanted to enact the farm laws. They were beneficial for the farmers, for the small farmers. It is the crorepati farmers, the millionaire and billionaire farmers who have created this situation. And it is not only them who have done it. There is an entire international ecosystem behind them who have done that. The toolkit ecosystem. It is in the face of these issues that Mr. Modi has done a strategic retreat. This is called a strategic retreat. It is a 5-year military campaign. In a military campaign, there are lots of battles. There is no general in the entire universe who has won every single battle. Genghis Khan his army lost the battle of Parwan against the terrorist Jalaluddin Khwarezmi. But in the end, Genghis Khan won. So Genghis Khan won every single military campaign, but inside every military campaign, there are dozens of battles. You win some, you lose some. What is important is that you win the military campaign. So there are long-term objectives at play. Right? See, India is on a path upwards, slow but steady. It is not a 3-month game. It is a 100-year game. It's a 100-year marathon. Think of it like that. Ups and downs keep coming. So don't get emotional. Don't give up. Keep your eyes on the long-term target. That's what I would say. So I disagree that Mr. Modi is the weakest prime minister until date. I think he's one of the strongest prime ministers until date. He shows what real leadership is. You may disagree with that. This is my assessment. I'm perfectly fine if you disagree with that. I have nothing against that. My personal assessment is that Mr. Modi is a very good leader. He's one of the strongest prime ministers we have had. one of the best leaders we have had. This is clearly a setback. This is not what he would have wanted, but there is a long way to go. The time to decide whether he has succeeded or failed is in 2024. Until then, let's wait and watch and let's be positive, shall we?